No one got the Natsu reference, the Mystogan guy? No? Yeah, well, anyways, welcome to the second installment of the weekly update that we're going to be doing on this Apex Anime channel. I'm your host, Zeno, and yeah, I mean, I know the last update was yesterday, and obviously that's not a week, that's more like bi weekly. Um, wait, bi weekly? Uh, yeah, forget it. Yeah, so we're trying to get the scheduling right, so we're having issues with like sending over the edits and some of the time it works. But once we get that right, the videos and the content will be coming out weekly, preferably Wednesday. So Wednesday weekly update, but like we'll work that out. But for now, this week we had a lot of interesting anime content that came over the weekend. I mean, we had the Boku boys, we had the Tokyo Bros, we had the Nomad lad showing all over last weekend. So it's pretty cool. So let's get that intro and we'll get right into the video. Cheers. I mean, the whole Natsu stuff is fine, but it's not like I can actually do a live action as Natsu. But I could do, of course, Gearless Joe, who in the show Nomad Part 2, right, of Megalo Box. I mean, the storytelling that they're doing for him is like really good, and like the episode was solid and all, and it seems like at this point his life is taking an upturn. He's like having this like new lease on life because at the end of the episode there was this whole thing that had happened in the episode where he had gone and he met some people and there was this whole life now with other people that seems like he's going to get into, and I'm looking forward to seeing like how they're going to integrate it, because obviously Joe isn't a person that like likes to stay with people. They even made like an emphasis on that, right? So yeah, just to see how he goes on with like his new buddy Chief, which is like a Hispanic boxer that has a robotic arm. And I mean, that just sounds cool. Like legitimately, that just sounds so cool. Like I want to see how they take it, because like the first time I saw the Chief, right? I think they call him Chief. The first time I saw the guy, I was like, oh wait, so he's just going to be like that guy that's in like a couple of episodes and he comes back maybe towards the end and then we see him again and then we have the whole Joe's journey. I didn't think he was going to be that integral to the story, but yeah, I mean now he's going somewhere else and so we have to see like the journey he goes on. Um, yeah, it's interesting because like at this point, I'm not sure where the story is going to go at all, and I just want them. I was just so happy that they stopped chugging Joe with like a lot of pills. That's the one thing I was like, oh yes, good. They're not chugging him with pills anymore. He's thrown it all away, and he's seems like he's accepted the facts of what had happened in the time skip. Obviously, we're gonna get more revealed, so we'll look forward to that. But yeah, the next sort of anime over the weekend that was really good that came out was the Tokyo Avengers, and there was a lot of hype for that, but I wasn't sure like what that hype was about, like why there was so much hype and why it was like so interesting. Because I watched the trailers, I saw the characters, and it didn't seem like anything too special. Um, and then I watched the episode zero. Before it came out before the first episode, and the episode zero, honestly, if you don't want any spoilers, just don't watch it. But yeah, I'm just going to give you a quick breakdown of TKR. So, quick breakdown. This kid grows up, becomes this guy who thinks he has this loser life, and then on the news he sees his ex-girlfriend has gotten into an accident with her little brother, who then gets killed, and for some reason he goes on this tirade on like thinking back on his life and how it used to be, and he goes into the train station, and obviously this is now the plot twist, which is that oh, he gets pushed over the train and he gets isekai'd by a train, not your typical isekai by bus. This is by train. So he gets isekai into his own past. So obviously time travel, not isekai. So time travel back into his own past as a kid, and then he's able to like change stuff up while he's a kid. Because at this point he's still dating the girl and he's in a gang with other guys, and he's like that's where everything starts. That he becomes this ultimate loser in his perspective, of course, because his life isn't as shitty as he makes it out to be. But whatever, he goes and he starts living the same life, and then he makes It seems like he's going to make some changes. At least that's the premise they're going to give us at first. So he then goes on and then he shakes the little kid. For some reason, the little kid accepts his protagonist's speech, and then after they shake, he goes back into his regular time. And then for some reason, the little kid, who's obviously the younger brother that was in the accident in the beginning, is now still alive, and he's a policeman, and he's here to help the guy save his girlfriend, who for some reason still dies in this timeline. So obviously, we're probably going to get like several time travel incidents and several handshakes to go back into regular time. But like, I mean, why did they choose a handshake with the little kid? Whatever. But I mean, the story seems kind of interesting. The premise with like the time traveling and going back. So I just hope, yeah, it does. Based on the hype, you assume it's going to be something really good, not just like your typical, I don't know, storytelling. I mean, is that really a standard storytelling? Going back into your past and isekai by a train. I mean, yeah. So there are a few mysteries, obviously, who pushed him onto the train, and there's obviously like what's going to happen with the gangs and what's he going to do to change it, because he's actually in a very strange predicament that set him a course to his current life, which was seemingly the best option, but then he ended up becoming this kind of like weakling kind of person, right? And he doesn't stand up for himself. He doesn't do things which he actually shouts at someone for not doing those exact things that he should have done, because you're watching the show and you're telling him to do certain things that eventually in the first episode he tells another character to do. And yeah, it's obviously going to be about some type of character growth for the main character and the primary character, and then finding a way to save the girlfriend's life. And by primary character, I was talking about the kid who grows up to be the detective. So, I mean, it's gonna be an interesting watch. I'm gonna keep checking it out, and probably you should too if you want to. It's definitely mystery, drama, and then I just want to know what else are we going to see that we wouldn't naturally expect. Because in the trailers we would see like these other blonde guys and like some more fighting and stuff. So I don't know. I like to see where it will go. And yeah, but the other another show for this week that was really good was the Nagatoro-san, and that one was like, yeah, Nagatoro-san was just hilarious, because like that show is a lot. So we had the Tokyo Avengers, which is like, oh, this guy, I'm a loser, and the Nagatoro-san, the guy, the main character as well, is kind of like that too. He's kind of like, oh, he's a loser, but this guy was a lot cooler as a younger kid. This the guy in Nagatoro isn't. He's like a mangaka. He's like, they set him up to be this typical nerd type. And then the premise of the show is more of a comedy where there's this girl who's younger than him who goes to like mess with him all the time. So it's basically like, if you've seen Uzaki-chan, it's basically like that, but then these guys are a lot younger, and then the girl who's messing with him isn't messing with him to help him, because in Uzaki-chan the girl was helping him and trying to make him not be a loner, while in this one she's just messing with him to mess with him. And like, I mean, the eyes on this girl, like the eyes, like just look at these eyes. I mean, just look at the eyes, like this guy, like the show makes it so you yourself feel the tension of like the character. Like you feel so much for him because she's putting him in such a weird, awkward social position that you can feel your own social anxiety growing and coming out and being like, oh no, I really want to help this guy. And obviously sometimes he tries to stand up for himself, but she just laughs at him, which is like the worst thing ever. Like for anyone that has social anxiety, that's like literally the worst thing you could ever feel, like for someone to just laugh at you. And in public speaking, when you're trying to talk, when you're trying to show, when you're trying to stand up for yourself more specifically. And yeah, this guy gets that and he's put through the ringer, but it's absolutely hilarious to watch. I mean, yeah, and this week we also had Boku no Hero come out this weekend, of course, and yeah, the chapter was. I don't know how people are enjoying Boku no Hero, because I read the manga and I loved the manga, and at this point the manga felt a bit slow for me, so I don't know how people are seeing these first couple of episodes and maybe how they're expecting the next few episodes to go. But yeah, when I also watched the anime, of course, but like when I saw this episode, It was pretty interesting because we had the whole stuff at the beginning with like the vestiges and then All Might talking to Deku and like some more development regarding those previous users and like stuff like that. So I want to know what people think about that and what they want to like see regarding that. And then just aside from that, the rest of the episode we had like a lot of Shinso fan service. So if you're a Shinso fan, I think it's Shinso. Is it an S or Z? Shinso. Yeah. I mean, we had a lot of Shinso fan service, and he came in with like the Kakashi Sasuke dynamic between him and Eraserhead. So yeah, we saw him when we saw him have like the scarf thing that Eraserhead wears, and they're probably going to do a lot of like training together. Even though Eraserhead was like blaming All Might for doing favoritism with Deku, he's doing the exact same thing with like Shinso. And yeah, so we see Shinso come in, and he's probably going to go into the hero course. And the question would be whether he goes into class A or B. So for this episode, they solved that for like having him go into both by picking out a ballot and then being in one of the different groups. And I think the hype for this next few episodes are probably going to be in one, the vestiges thing, because they're obviously setting that up, and two, obviously now that they've introduced Shinso again, we obviously had the conversation with Deku where he remembered obviously his fight with Shinso and how what happened there, and he seeing the previous users for the first time, and now he's going to fight him again because if you notice the fifth battle, was it fifth or fourth? The last battle is going to be between the group that Shinso is in and the group that Deku is in. So they're obviously going to have some type of like either he mind controls Deku and Deku sees it, or something happens between Shinso and Deku that would have something to do with the vestiges. That's definitely sort of what's going on and how they're setting it up. And yeah, with the rest of the fights, I'm just mainly interested because you see the fights and you're like, because All Might was trying to balance it out, and he was like, "Oh, Class B, they had like they followed the school curriculum, so they have better experience in whatever." Like, you can't mess with me about that, because like Class A are slapping them, no question. Class A are slapping them, but it's like who's going to do it? Because like the writer it seems like the writer purposely separated it where you have one group with Todoroki, one group with Bakugo, one group with Deku. So you have three groups that are separate that seem like each of these characters can easily carry their groups and win. But the premise of it is to capture one of the students and to put them into a cage. So you're not actually killing anyone. You're not actually causing. It's not based on damage. It's based on how many people can you take and can you keep. So yeah, we'd have to see how that goes and how that works. So it depends on how the teams work together. And we're going to get some more powers from the Class B heroes. So we've seen a few of them in the previous sports festival, but like we're going to get a bit more like development for them because we haven't seen them in a while. We've just been with the Class A students. So yeah, I mean for Boku no Hero, I'm just interested in what people like think about it and how they think this is going to go. Because for me, I kind of understand, I kind of know where it's going. I can't remember everything, but I know where a few of it is going, and it's pretty fun. I think it's pretty fun, and the animators are going to have a lot of fun with it. To be fair, but I don't remember who wins, but my bets are on. I think Class A is going to take most of it. They have to take most of it because it's Class A, and you have Todoroki in his own group, you have Bakugo in his own group, and you have Deku, and each of them have to win. And if there's just I think there were just four groups. And if there's just four groups, they're easily carrying three. Even if there's five, they're easily carrying three. So yeah, you can't stand against them. And if I'm not mistaken, Tokoyami is also in one of the stronger groups as well. So yeah, it's just Class A all the way. So they're probably going to have like 3 wins or something like that. And the only thing is, I'm not sure if they do draws. So if they do draws, then maybe there's like a loophole there or something. But yeah, Class A all the way. Bakugo wins, Deku wins for sure, Todoroki wins, and yeah. The other thing for the week, which is the last thing that I'm going to talk about, is The Way of the House Husband. I don't know if anyone's seen it, but like the one that came out on Netflix, because like when I first saw it, I was kind of skeptical because I was like, it's not animated properly and it doesn't look like it's gonna be good because the animation is like in comic strips that move around, and I was just kind of like iffy about it. But like now that I actually watched it, I gave it a try and I was like worried about the animation. But then after I kept watching it, it was actually really top tier and hilarious. Because like if you're looking for something that's wholesome, that's funny, and that's just like a fun time to watch, you're just passing time, you should probably watch it. But I mean, I did the thing that most people wouldn't agree with. I watched it in dub, not in sub, not in Japanese, because I don't know, I couldn't stand just staring at the animation and then having to read it at the same time. I was like, okay, I'll just watch it in dub. If it's funny in dub, then it has to be brilliant. And it was really funny because like the guy's a gangster and then he does normal day stuff that even regular guys don't do, and he does it top tier. Like he goes to the shopping malls and he takes everything to the limit, and he takes everything in like, oh, this is a gang moment. Everybody's trying to be extremely serious. Everyone's trying to kill me. Everyone's trying to get at me. There's this time where he tests out a car. Like they go to the shop with his wife, and he's like the house husband. He wears an apron, and he goes around and he's like, oh, we want to buy a car, and they go out to try different cars, and he's like, I don't really like these ones because someone can easily like kill you in them. And then they're like, oh no, just test this one out, just test this one out. And he goes into the car and he's driving, and he's like, just drive. And they tell him to drive defensively, and in his mind, defensively is like, oh no, someone's attacking me with a knife to stab me, so I'm going to be defensive. So he like runs off the road because he sees a cat. He's like, no, the cat's gonna jump in, and or he sees like some random guy walking, and he's like, oh no, that guy's probably from this gang or something. But yeah, it's just really funny when you watch it because it's like day to day stuff, making cakes, doing all this thing, but he does it to the extreme. So yeah, if you want to give something lighthearted to try, you should definitely check that out. It was fantastic. It's just 5 episodes anyways. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for the week. So if you guys have anything to say, just drop a comment down below. And I'm really more interested in like what people think about the Boku no Hero Academia, like what they want to, like what they think is going to happen with that. And then like some of the stuff from the Tokyo Avengers as well, because a few of them I've never like watched or heard of. So yeah, whatever you guys think, just drop a comment down below. And yeah, have a nice week, guys. See you next week.